Sanae Takayichi, the Japanese Prime Minister, has achieved a massive landslide victory. Sanae Takayichi is a Japanese politician who has been Prime Minister of Japan and President of the Liberal Democratic Party of Japan since October 2025. It's nothing like the Lib Dems of the UK. When she became president of her party, she also became the Prime Minister of Japan. And she decided to capitalize upon the unusually long honeymoon period that she had with the Japanese public and also the high approval ratings. And she dissolved the parliament, called for snap elections, and that was in January 23. And Japan voted yesterday, and she won. She won a massive victory. And in fact, she won what she wanted, the supermajority in the lower house of the Japanese parliament. The Japanese parliament has two houses, the upper house and the lower house. And generally speaking, the lower house is the one that is a bit stronger and more powerful, but the upper house has powers to stall things. She won more than 2/3 of the lower house, and this means that to a very large extent, she doesn't have to worry that much about the upper house. The mainstream media said that she was going to lose, but nothing of the sort happened. In fact, she achieved a landmark victory. She crushed the opposition. These elections were also impressive from an organizational perspective. They have said, for instance, that in Tokyo there is roughly the same population as that of California, and they somehow managed to count all the votes in one night, something that California isn't particularly apt to do lately. So what happened is that in the lower house, she won 316 seats out of a total of 465 seats. And she has crossed the threshold of the 2/3 supermajority. And a supermajority, as it says here, means it could overrule opposition to draft legislation in the upper house. But as we will see in a bit, things are a bit more complicated than that. So you see here the lower house of the Japanese parliament has 465 seats. You achieve a simple majority with 233, a stable majority with 243, an absolutely stable majority 261, and a 2/3 majority with 310, and a 2/3 majority with 310. And she crossed this. She achieved 316. We see here that there have been some changes. She won 118 extra seats, which is a massive victory. And people are asking, why did she achieve such a victory? It's really impressive. Everyone says here that in Tokyo, all the 30 districts of it voted for her. All Tokyo is red here in the district map. And the country, generally speaking, voted red, especially in the large cities. Here she's thanking Donald Trump. She says, "I'm sincerely grateful to President Donald J. Trump for his warm words. I look forward to visiting the White House this spring and to continuing our work together to further strengthen the Japan-US alliance. Our alliance and friendship with the United States of America are built on deep trust and close, strong cooperation. The potential of our alliance is limitless. Let us work together to ensure that our alliance continues to bring peace and prosperity to our two nations and beyond." Now, here is where we come to the controversy of the pacifist constitution, or the pacifist clause of the Japanese constitution. And here is where she has been criticized by many of her opponents to want to destroy the country's constitution. From what I've seen, I believe that these concerns are very much far-fetched. They're exaggerated. The major thing we need to look at is Article 9 of the Constitution, and it's 2 paragraphs. And we have to see how this is creating a paradox that Sanae Takayichi wants to resolve. The article goes like this: Japan forever renounces war as a sovereign right of the nation and the use of force as a means of settling international disputes. To accomplish this, land, sea, and air forces, as well as other war potential, will never be maintained. And this is causing the paradox of the self-defense forces. If Japan is prohibited for having a military, why does it have the self-defense forces? And why are these self-defense forces considered to be among the top 10 armies of the world? This is creating a legal ambiguity that Sanae Takaichi wants to resolve. Her critics are accusing her of wanting to destroy the Japanese constitution, but what she wants to do is she wants to expand it, in her own words. So what she wants to do is to add a third paragraph and say that this isn't going to remove the pacifist clause. It's going to expand it and make it a bit more tailored to the world that Japan is living right now in 2026, as opposed to the Japan of 1947, when that clause was introduced into its constitution. And she says that this new landscape is characterized by Chinese aggression in the region, especially in Taiwan and in South Korea. So she wants to remove this legal ambiguity and constitutionalize the army. Her critics are claiming that this is going to be a bad move because it's going to make Japan even more militaristic and more likely to engage in foreign wars. But the issue is that she can't do it alone and she cannot do it overnight. For many policies, she doesn't need the approval of the upper house because she has a supermajority in the lower house. But in order to amend the constitution, she does need also a supermajority in the upper house. And as they're saying, in order for her to amend the constitution, she has to achieve a supermajority in both houses. So she has to be very prudent with how she moves in coalition building, especially when it comes to the upper house. And then if she achieves this, the Japanese people have to give more than 50% of approval in a national referendum. It's only then that she can actually amend the constitution. But if you think about it, it's more like a legal issue, a legalistic issue. So de facto, Japan has one of the strongest armies globally. She didn't win just for this reason. She also won because she had some interesting economic policies that she put forward that actually spoke to lots of people, especially young people, who are dealing with the cost of living crisis. And she proposed to suspend the sales tax and to suspend the 8% consumption tax on food for 2 years. And this was music to the ears of the Japanese who are struggling with the cost of living crisis. And she said that she is going to achieve this with a massive stimulus package, where she proposed a big 21 trillion yen stimulus package aimed at boosting wages and investing in high-tech sectors like AI and semiconductors. And she has also been very tough on immigration, and she is proposing stricter conditions, limits, deportations to those who aren't integrating, and deportations to those who are showing that they shouldn't be there. And she's very much focused on having numerical limits on the number of foreigners accepted into Japan. She also wants to make the conditions for gaining permanent residency much stricter. But one thing to remember is that Japan, the Japanese, lots of Japanese people who also have access to the internet, they are watching how the rest of the Western world, especially Europe and the US, is being changed by mass migration, and they really don't want this. And Japan has 3.2 to 3.3% of the population comprised of foreigners, and they're saying that they don't want more. And what is really interesting here from the perspective of a Westerner is that the Japanese population, but also the Japanese government, are proposing a very different solution to the problem of mass migration and low birth rates. Because Japan does have low birth rates, but it looks like they're trying to not be panicking about it and not panic their population about it. They are saying that culture comes first. They don't want to see their culture liquidated, and they are going to move in a very targeted manner when it comes to accepting who they are going to give residency to and for how long. And now there's the other interesting bit. She had a tremendous level of support from the young Japanese people. According to a poll and survey conducted by Nikkei and TV Tokyo 2 weeks ago, it said that it's an overwhelming 85% of Generation Z is supporting her. She's generally speaking very popular, but especially the younger people are, the more likely they are to support her. And to an extent, this has to do with her policies, but also there is the other phenomenon called Sanae mania, which has to do with the persona she has on social media. And they say here that she despite her age, she isn't that old, but despite her age, she's seen as being very close to young people. Here they are saying that she loved motorcycles, she loved bikes. During student days, she went on touring trips, and she's an avid reader of Barbary Densetsu. And also they have pictures of her with bikes. They like it. And she was also a drummer. You can see her here relaxing after a summit. She's a good drummer, apparently. And people like this. And she has a very energetic and charismatic image that she has capitalized politically. And it looks like the Japanese want to support her. And what is interesting is that in this election, the left was completely demolished. Even the young generation that, especially in the West, shows some kind of affinity towards the left, especially in the female population. Nothing of the sort happened in yesterday's elections in Japan. It looks like the left was completely demolished. It says here, Centrist Reform Alliance lost 124 seats, 74.2% of their seats. Japan Communist Party lost 5 seats, which was 62.5% of their seats. Reiwa Shinsengumi, the left wing, lost 100% of their seats, so 0 seats for them. And you see here, their numbers are pathetic and very low. And I want to show you a few things as to why that is. It says here, the former left-wing prime minister and main opposition leader Yoshihiko Noda, who ran on a pro-multiculturalism campaign, has announced his resignation, and he says that the left suffered the worst defeat in Japanese political history under his watch. And a phrase is attributed to him that I deserve to die 1,000 deaths. Well, we have to take that with a pinch of salt. But he seems to be incredibly unhappy with the fact that he got completely demolished, electorally speaking. But that isn't the only thing. We have here the image of the left that is roughly like the left of the rest of the Western world. But actually in Japan this doesn't work. And it's good to see people coming to their senses. We have here the leader of the Japanese party. This is from Haruka Suzumori, friend of mine. The leader of the Japanese Communist Party implies that young people who voted for Sanae Takayichi are clueless. She says they didn't even realize she was against same-sex marriage, she argues. And same-sex marriage isn't legal in Japan. Sanae Takayichi has said that she isn't interested in passing it, in promoting this policy. Also, she says here that the ultimate goal of the Communist Party is to destroy nationhood. Yes, so why would you want as a nation to listen to people, to give more power to people who are explicit about wanting to destroy your nation? She says, we communists aim for a society, we want the disappearance of Japan. And this is precisely what leftists say across the entire globe. And it's good to see that the Japanese liberal Democrats don't care about what the left is going to say. They don't care about whether the left is going to call them racists, extremists, or ultra-conservatives, or against gay marriage, or pro-nationhood. They don't care. They look at the world and they're realists, and they're saying right now they're faced with a very aggressive neighbor, a neighbor who is ramping up their military. They say, no, instead of trying to placate the people who are saying that we shouldn't have an army and that we shouldn't have a nation, let us increase military spending. Here you can also see that the internationalist aspect of the left and the left's rhetoric had basically zero appeal in Japan. Here we see a leftist with the flag of Palestine. Another here doing a really weird dance as a means of weird activism. It just didn't go well. It didn't mean anything to the Japanese. And the Japanese were actually prudent enough to understand that it doesn't mean anything. And ultimately, I think that these elections seem to be a step to the right direction. And it's good to see people coming to their senses and rejecting leftism and embracing realism. So congratulations to Sanae Takayichi and the Japanese Liberal Democrats for this massive victory.